Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Engines of Somewhere Wales. Today is a big one, folks. Today, we will be finally covering one of the most important engines to the Somewhere Wales lore. An engine whose scrapping caused more questions than answers, and who may be hiding more than we are led to believe. That's right, today we are covering Genevieve the Consolidation, or as she's more known as by the workers, the Ace. Genevieve's gonna be a pretty big engine to cover this time around, as she is one of the most complete and interesting storylines on the SWLR and is a massive part of the lore in Somewhere Wales. So, enough of the intro, let's get going and explore everything we got on the Ace of Gallagher's Mine. Genevieve was actually the first built of the Ethan & Sons B class, the successor of the A class, or Gilbert's class, making Genevieve Gilbert's sister in a sense. She was originally purchased for the SWLR around 1921, and initially she performed pretty poorly, but eventually she improved massively, becoming a reliable freight hauler. Sometime before 1925, Genevieve would be transferred to the Gallagher's Mine Coal and Coke division, where she would exceed in her role hauling coal from the mine to the port, eventually getting the nickname the Ace by the railway workers, with one of them even drawing an ace of hearts on her front tank. Genevieve is a 280 side tank, meaning she has 2 front pilot wheels, 8 driving wheels, and no trailing wheels. This type of wheel arrangement is also known as the consolidation type, originating from the Lehigh and Mahoney Railroad's locomotive consolidation, being the first type of locomotive built with the 280 wheel arrangement. Genevieve is around 15 to 16 feet long, 5 feet wide, and about 8 feet tall, having a top speed of 25 studs per second or 15 to 16 miles per hour, with a tractive effort of around 75,000 lbs with a horsepower rating of around 300. Genevieve is equipped with a high-pitched narrow brass whistle. Here are some samples. Genevieve would work reliably at the colliery for a few years, hauling long coal trains down to St. Andrews and back up, until suddenly and unexpectedly being scrapped without any prior notice from the company board, confusing and angering many of the workers who had come to rely on her. According to the company board, Genevieve was scrapped for short-term profit gains. However, many of the workers refused to believe this, questioning why such a reliable engine with a lot of life left in it would be scrapped so suddenly. Some speculated that the recently hired Alfred Deacon had something to do with it, as Alfred was entitled to a cut of the profit for any loads delivered of his engine, Dylan Ale Dawn. Even Solomon Gallagher himself would question what happened to his beloved engine, with the only thing left being her whistle, which he kept in his diary. To this day, it is unknown what really happened to Genevieve, why she was scrapped all of a sudden, and what the true motives behind her disappearance really were. Genevieve would begin development around February of 2023 as a replacement for Game Disc. I will get into him later. Genevieve's name would actually be slowly teased starting on 8/16/2023, where City Officer would start a game of Productivity Hangman, slowly revealing the letters to Genevieve's name, with the community having to figure it out. It took about 3 days for the name to be guessed correctly, being fully revealed on 8/19/2023. And as a side note, I was the one to properly guess her name correctly, so that's neat. Genevieve would officially be added into the game on December 1st, 2023, replacing Game Test, as due to the lore reboot, City Officer didn't feel that Game Test made much sense anymore, which I will get into when I cover him next time. Initially, this would lead to some confusion in the community on if they were the same character, but this would be quickly cleared up by the City Officer, stating Genevieve and Game Test are 2 entirely different characters. Genevieve, unlike the rest of the SWLR roster, not counting Aeolus or Geraldine, is a badge engine that requires you to find certain items hidden around the map to unlock her, similar to Game Test. Genevieve would have a slight performance issue around mid-2025, causing her to become immensely weak, but this would be resolved, and ever since then, she's been running flawlessly, hauling long drags up and down the line, and hopefully will continue for many years to come. Genevieve has several different engines she's somewhat based on, although it does get somewhat confusing. The first and most obvious answer is what Game Test was based on, that being Lou from the Linton and Barnstaple Railway. Lou was a 262T Manning Wardle who ran into LMB from 1925 to 1936, whereafter the railway she ran out would close down, leading to her being auctioned off to a Brazilian plantation, where she would quite literally up and vanish with no trace of her whereabouts or even her eventual fate, leading some to speculate she might still be out there in Brazil, hiding away in an abandoned plantation building. And if you guys want more information on Lou, I highly suggest checking out Amtrakguy 365's video talking about her disappearance. A replica of Lou named Lid was built for the Festiniog Railway in 2010 and can still be seen running today. As Game Test was based on Lou, Genevieve shares similar design traits such as the long water tanks, tall cap, and large wheelbase. As for other designs, well, there's not really anything else due to consolidations being a rarity on 2-foot railways, so Lou is the closest basis we got. However, there's actually a narrow gauge engine with the same name, interestingly enough, albeit being very different from the Summer Wales Genevieve. Genevieve is an 080T side tank built by Borsig Locomotive Works in 1918. She originally worked in France after World War I under the Ministère des Régions Libres in Marne. She would be sold to a Polish forest railway in Chisnara via Stoke. In 1985, Genevieve would be sold to the Chemin de Fer Frossy-Dompierre, a railway built during World War I that transported supplies from Péronne to Frossy along the Somme Canal. The railway would operate throughout both World Wars, serving the towns and villages for delivering food and supplies. By 1972, however, it would cease operations due to competing road traffic, but thankfully by that time, preservationists had already taken over part of the line, and by 1974, they controlled the entire line. Genevieve is one of the many steam locomotives that can be seen running on the line today, hauling tourist trains up and down the Canal of Somme. Genevieve really only shares the name, livery type, and a similar wheel arrangement, albeit having an extra axle. Genevieve is also similar to the War Department 460 Hunslas, which were trench locomotives that served during the First World War. Diesel engines were often seen hauling munitions and war supplies behind the front line and would end up all across the world after the war as surplus. Genevieve shares a similar overall size, boiler design, and cab shape, although besides that, there really isn't much apart from both being relatively large narrow gauge engines. Genevieve is a pretty interesting design case due to most of her design aspects coming from Game Test's design and basis, and the fact she has an IRL counterpart, although more just a name. Completely random side note, but recently this photo was reposted in the Summer Wales Discord server. It has absolutely nothing to do with IRL bases, I just thought it was pretty funny. Well, that's just about it for this episode of Engines of Somewhere Wales. Thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this episode and learned a thing or two about the Ace. Special thanks goes to Red 8 Trains, City Oster, Dax 9N, Lemon V02, and Ethan for their help. Links to their socials will be in the description down below. I'd also like to shout out the game Red has been helping develop called A Bumpy Ride, which is a really well made train game he helped develop for. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard of it, but if you haven't, go give it a try. I recently played a demo and I had a blast, and I think you will too. Anyway, join me next time when we cover the Green Terror himself and a massive fan favorite. That's right, Game Tez is next. Besides that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later. Have a great day.